December 23rd, and it's time for This Week in Crypto. And what can I talk about other than starting with the soap opera playing out on essentially national TV and the national media of Sam Bankman-Fried getting to go to mommy and daddy's house for the Christmas holidays on bail, wearing an ankle bracelet, poor little guy, while tens of thousands of people are either out of a job, lost their life savings, or scrambling to figure out how they're going to pay for their families over the next year. Somehow doesn't seem fair. As I was joking about how would Captain Kirk see this, it would be, I can't believe how unfair the system is. But the reality is it is unfair. And we know why it's unfair. He donated a lot of money to a lot of very important people who are saying we need Sammy to get a fair shake. So I guess he's going to get that fair shake. Luckily, the people, the good folks at the DOJ, seem to have flipped Caroline and seem to have flipped Gary, and they're basically pleading guilty to fraud. Fraud, which makes it very clear what Sam did. And just to be very clear about this, and I want to talk about it a little bit, as bad as this is, as angry as I am, as angry as most people are, it could have been much, much worse. Consider the amount of power that an individual would have to commit arguably one of the greatest financial frauds in history and get to go spend Christmas holidays with mommy and daddy. That political power is huge. Now consider the fact that the only major exchange to meet with the SEC over the last year was FTX. Consider that he was the dominant voice in shaping legislation that would have effectively created a competitive moat for FTX, one that probably would have squeezed distributed finance to the fringes in America, and one that could have potentially chilled competition. Now consider the fact that everything that we've learned was that they were betting client money and spending client money to achieve that influence. Outright theft. What happens if he was successful and didn't blow up for 2 or 3 more years? It would have been far, far worse. With that sobering thought, let's talk about what's been going on in the market, which essentially is nothing. Bitcoin today had a move on my chart that looked really amazing. It like a steep up and a steep down. I looked at it, and then you zoom out and realize it was less than $200 of a move. The markets are flat as a pancake. They are more or less within $200 of where they were last week. They're not moving at all. And the truth of the matter is, we have stasis. We have long term holders at the highest rate in history holding on to Bitcoin at the same time as speculative activity is at the low point since I've been following this market for the last 5.5 years. In truth, the fact is, it makes sense. There is an entire class of professional traders who lost the ability to trade because they lost their money, and everybody else looking and saying, where is safe for me to trade? We've had FUD going out about every market. Maybe some of it will turn out to be true, but I don't think so. Is Binance insolvent? How? They've been making money hand over fist. If nothing else, they're making more money as a percentage by picking up the slack from FTX. They don't have a affiliate that's gambling money. And frankly, if there's any firm that likely was on the other side of the terrible trades that Alameda did, I would bet it was probably some of the ones out in Asia associated with some of the other exchanges. But we'll never know. But at the same time, we've had OKX, we've had several others create proof of reserves. We have Kraken and others with proof of reserves. Coinbase, of course, didn't allow leverage. So where's the fear there? The fact is that nobody who is trading should keep more than what they're going to trade on exchanges. They should be with qualified custodians or self custody. That's been the truth forever. That's something that CoinRoutes, our customers, understand kind of almost as religion. But a lot of people were lazy. And as I've said many times, we spent the better part of 50 to 100 conversations with prospective clients who told us, why do I need to get best X? It'll be good enough. Why do I need to trade on someplace other than FTX or back in the day on Coinbase? I could trade on one. It'll be fine. I don't care. Well, I don't think we're going to hear that anymore. In any case, that's the state of the union where we are today. We're about to have the Christmas holidays. The news flow is a bit slow. We've had more statements of people talking about the SEC going to regulate. Elizabeth Warren's bill is still floating out there. I ranted about it last week. Let's just make two simple comments. As far as Elizabeth Warren's bill is concerned, let's call it what it is. It's economic totalitarianism. She wants to control anything that could possibly interfere with government control over the economy. Full stop. When Bitcoin and Ether and crypto look most vulnerable, that's when they amp up their rhetoric. That's when they introduce these bills. This is not unique. It's happened before. It will happen again. As far as Gary Gensler goes, let's be really clear. I'm glad that they indicted Sam. I am glad that their indictment specifies why they think FTT is a security, because in that specification, they made a few key points which really don't apply to almost any other cryptos. And the ones that it does, maybe they are securities. First, they said that it marketed the future potential of the exchange as being something that will increase the economic value of the token. They marketed it specifically. They specifically said our management team, i.e., the people responsible for the for profit entity that was issuing it, are why you want to buy or sell. Not a foundation, not open source developers, but those people. Third, they specifically said that that it would go up in value as an investment. They talked about that as expectation of return. All three of those were in the marketing. Now, I don't know. I haven't seen all this marketing. I don't have access to the source documents. But if they prove that, I think it's fairly clear. But now let's say that they're right. What is a firm who has something like that to do? Well, if you do that today, you have no liquid market to trade them on. Because to trade a token like FTT, you need to be able to trade it against dollars, against USDC, against USDT, against Bitcoin. Now, the fact is, FTT was never very liquid, was a manipulated market anyway. But if I were a new project, I would want to trade on a more liquid exchange. I would want to trade in an exchange where people could self custody the asset. None of these things are truly possible under SEC rules, which brings us back to what we've always said on this program is that Hester Peirce, and actually before Hester talked about a safe harbor, I did a presentation of the SEC in 2018 and said the same thing. It's been a long time. For the last 4 to 5 years, it's been clear that we need new rules, and we need those rules to work with the industry. Now, you can define the industry however you want, but it probably shouldn't be represented by a scam artist and be top heavy. It should include people, well, like me, and like the people who run Eventus Systems and Solidus Labs that are doing surveillance. And I know all of those people. It should include the people from all of the exchanges that are actually trading that have licenses. It should include the large users, the large brokers, and let that industry get feedback through comments and ascertain rules. Perhaps something as silly as a solicitation for a white paper that the SEC could even write. There are a bunch of academics there. They don't know a damn thing about how markets work, but they understand how to write papers. So let them write one and let us all comment on it. Do something other than say, I'm the cop on the beat, because that cop missed this. Let's make no mistake about it. They missed it completely. They investigated BlockFi. They knew full well about the extent of the GBTC trade. They knew full well about how firms like BlockFi were reaching for yield. They met with Sam twice over the period of time and allowed BlockFi to be, instead of being bankrupt, to be bought by FTX. They allowed it without doing any due diligence on it. Someone where they were one of the largest creditors of the firm. They were asleep at the switch. And Gensler should be hauled in front of Congress to actually answer for it. But what he has not done is encourage people to talk about regulation, because his approach has kept everybody away from him. The only people willing to talk to him are those who are politically protected, aka Sam, or those who he was actually doing enforcement actions against. Nobody in the rest of the industry are willing to talk to the SEC for fear of retribution because there's no forum for doing so. That chilling effect matters. Okay. With that, I think we should cut it off here. Have a great holiday and stay safe out there.